What's up, nerds? We are them nerds. I am Tony, and that over there is Jerry. And we are here to talk to you about episode 4 of the Disney Plus animated series, Marvel's What If? What if, Jerry?
What if?
What if? This episode of What If focused on Dr. Stephen Strange and his origin story got a little bit of just a little tweak. Just a little tweak, little twitch, little twist.
Yeah, just a smidgen.
So tell us what was different about his origin this time, Gerald.
Well, they started off with the main course change was that in Doctor Strange the movie, Christine doesn't go with him to the gala. He goes on his own, and with this one, he decides to go ahead and she decides to go with him to go receive his award. And the whole premise of this show is, what if Doctor Strange didn't lose his hands, but he lost his heart?
And his heart,
They're
of course.
just hands. They're just hands.
But his heart is everything. He didn't lose his actual operating hands. He lost his figurative, not literal, heart. Christine, she died.
So we see the path of the ability, of him still becoming Doctor Strange that we know, but this idea that he's bound by the idea that he's lost the love of his life.
Right. So instead of him trying to gain mastery of the mystic arts so that he could, gain control over his life again and become, master surgeon again, he was just trying to make sense of his life after losing his heart. So he goes and the same stuff happens. He goes to train.
Everything you saw in Doctor Strange, it happens again. He fights Dormammu. We lose the Ancient One.
Right.
But basically it's, at the end of it, he becomes this great and powerful sorcerer, but there's a piece of him that's missing. And so he's trying to wrestle with this idea of how does he continue on. And so he decides, well, why do I have to? I have the ability to go ahead and bring her back.
Right. So we're led to believe as the viewing audience that he uses the Eye of Agamotto, aka the Time Stone. He uses that to go off in a split off into a different reality and go back in time and try to save Christine. We are led to believe as the viewing audience that he, instead of getting up to go have tea with Wong, he goes off and he does that. So we see a whole montage of him going and meeting the keeper of all of these mystic tomes and whatnot. And he like eats mystical animals.
Well, actually, yeah, because you see him where he's fighting through this idea of trying to, you see him basically, you see 20 or 30 times where he just tries to bring Christine back and she just keeps dying. And so finally the Ancient One comes and says, there's fixed points in realities that can't be messed with. When you do that, you can destroy the universe. And so her fixed point is always dying. You can't change that. And so he decides to go look for the books of
Cagliostro.
Yes. And try to figure out a spell that can actually bypass that and give him the ability to change that fixed point. And so, you see him go down to this sorcery library and you see all the books. I'm guessing which are the books that were missing from the sorcerer's library in Doctor Strange, because a lot of them are chained up and everything else. And you see him decide that basically what he's going to do is better, you can't beat him, eat him. So he summons these demons and he eats them and takes their powers, and so he becomes so powerful that he finally goes back and he goes to change the world. And you see Christine trying to bring her back, and you're just like, well, what's he going to do?
Right.
You're not supposed to be able to fix this fixed point.
And eventually we come to find out that we did not see Doctor Strange leave Wong and go and do this separate thing, but he kind of split into two different realities. one where he remained with Wong and he kind of followed the path laid in front of him by the Ancient One. And then on the other hand, he did go and do all this crazy mystical stuff. And we'll call him evil Doctor Strange, or deranged, Doctor Deranged Strange. I don't know, that's terrible. The one who ate all of the weird cryptids decided that he needed to go and consume good Doctor Strange so that they were whole again. And after a battle ensued, he did in fact do that. He goes to the spot where Christine is, dead in the car in the water, and as he kind of pulls her out, he has his exterior has begun to match his interior, and he looks like an absolute lunatic, wings and tentacles and all that kind of stuff. And she's not feeling it.
Yeah, at this point, it'd be like Beauty and the Beast. He's a beast after all, and
Right.
not only that, but by
Beast
bringing
was a
her
hentai
back,
creature.
yeah, and by bringing her back, you actually see that the characters or the world itself is being dissolved into erasing itself, and
Right.
so he brings her back just in time to go ahead and watch her die once again, because that's the fixed point that can't be changed.
Right.
And this time he's erased her completely and everybody else around him.
Yeah. Two things that I noticed from that sort of that idea of the fixed points. Number one, this is another thing that has happened recently that kind of reminded us of Doctor Who. And it makes me wonder how much they're going to sort of borrow from Doctor Who for all of this kind of time travel, multiverse bending sort of stuff. It seems like they're going to lean into it kind of hard. The other thing is, Doctor Strange is being positioned as like this really powerful person within the MCU. I think that we're supposed to really get a glimpse of how powerful he can become because he's talking to the Watcher. He sees the Watcher. He knows he's there. He's having a conversation with him. And I think that's kind of huge.
Yeah. And, you have this idea of even the Watcher, wrestling with himself about the idea that should he get involved with this because he's going down the wrong path.
Right.
And so, which is something he said, throughout the course of the last 3 episodes. But this one, there was much more time, or many more times that we saw the Watcher actually contemplating the idea that maybe it's going farther than it needs to.
Right. Yeah, which, I mean, it kind of leads us to question, is he always going to remain that impartial sort of observer that he's supposed to be? In the comics, there have been a few times where he sort of oversteps that boundary. One would assume that it's going to happen here in the MCU at some point as well. But overall, out of the 4 episodes, how did you feel this one stacked up?
I think this was number 1 out of the 4.
Number 1. All right. Yeah, I'd say it for me, it's kind of neck and neck. Maybe it's number 1. I will say though, watching it late really didn't do well for my sleep because the music was so good and it was so like epic and theatrical. It put me out, man. It really did. But it was a really good episode. I went back and watched it a second time. And it's like, I mean, it's a character study. You really get to see what makes Stephen Strange tick. And I think since he's going to be playing a big part, he's going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, and then of course Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think positioning him as this character that we can really kind of get into his head a little bit and see what kind of a big role he can play. I think they did a really good job of that.
Yeah. I think though also, the episode kind of leaves it off with this idea that he's not really gone. He's kind of locked himself in a prism or a mirror dimension or some kind of like, basically someplace to keep himself from hurting anybody else or becoming any more dangerous. Actually, I thought it kind of looked like one of the stones from the Infinity Gauntlet.
I agree.
So I was wondering if that's where we're going with, especially since we've seen pictures of Ultron's look, his Vision Ultron that's going to be coming in one of the later episodes. And so I thought, is that how we get the stone? Who knows?
Could be. That's one of the great things about this this show and the whole premise behind it is we're not trapped to the normal continuity of the MCU. All of these things are branches from the MCU. And just like the What If comics for years and years, they've given us that option of, seeing, well, what could happen from here. But we're getting it sort of like this enclosed, like parallel continuity. And, we talked about it before with, the Captain Carter episode kind of ending with, a bit of a cliffhanger and some possible connections. And then, the Avengers one, it looked like they were going to connect it to something. The T'Challa as Star-Lord kind of hanging in the balance there a little bit. And we know that Chadwick Boseman's voicing more stuff during the series. So yeah, it definitely lends itself to possibly connecting to the other stuff and bringing together some kind of overlapping continuity, which I think is going to be awesome. And it's something you're not going to get on the big screen, at least not to the extent we're probably going to get it animated.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't like that they're not sharing with us which episode is coming up next until like right before, because I want to get hyped.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it would go a long way to give us a little bit of more of a preview, of what the next episode is. But I guess it's similar to what they did with all their series. You get the hint a day before, and I mean, it does. You still are just as psyched for it, but I think you're right that it builds up enough time to be able well, what's going to happen? Because with this, we have no idea because we don't even know what character we're going to be talking about next.
Right. And, especially for people like us and for what we do on this show, we bathe ourselves in wild speculation. Like giving us, 24 hours to speculate wildly is not enough. We want as many days as possible to sit here like that.
2 years.
I mean, like we want to be here like that Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where he's like pinning stuff on the wall and he looks all crazy. Like that's us. And one day is not enough. But we do know that we're going to get more Chadwick Boseman. So we know that's coming. We know we're getting the episode where Killmonger interacts with Tony Stark in that opening scene from Iron Man, the first Iron Man. We know there's some zombie stuff coming. We know Spider-Man is going to be around doing some zombie hunting. You mentioned the Ultron Vision thing that's going to be coming up. So we know kind of what's coming down the pike. We just don't know in what order, and we don't know what else there is that we haven't seen. Gamora as taking on the role of Thanos.
Yeah.
So
you also have to remember that the first episode showed Captain Carter fighting that tentacle monster. Now you saw in this episode he's fighting what seemed to look like it was the same exact tentacle monster. And there's been word floating around that tentacle monster also makes an appearance in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So there is a way that they could be connecting all these together. That I can't think of what the character's name is right now that plays it, but or what the name of the kid that starts with a C. I'm too old to be trying to guess it, but
they're either going to all be connected, or someone who works at Marvel is really into weird tentacle films.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe both.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I guarantee there are.
You probably can't walk around Marvel Studios, without running into at least one or two people.
Yeah.
Honestly. Don't check their web history, folks. That took a dark turn. What do you think, nerds? What did you think of this episode? Did it make you feel more strongly about Doctor Strange as one of the leads in the upcoming iterations of the MCU? Where is he? What's he doing? Will we see him again? What's your opinion of tentacle monsters?
Yeah, you don't need to let me know that.
No, don't. No. This is a family show.
Yeah.
Jerry, anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, what do you think of owning this Shang-Chi Funko Pop? Don't forget to like, comment below for a chance to win it.
That's right. Don't forget to follow us on social media at we them nerds on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Be good. Be good to each other.
Stay nerdy.
Later, nerds.